Okay, so now we have to pin yourself to KitKat Lab. Okay. So, okay. Today we are going to talk about respiration. Okay. Even Atharva is here also. So we have all our students here.
Yes, ma'am.
I should take a presentee. I'll I'll say like Atharva, you say present ma'am, Harshini, present ma'am, Hiya, present ma'am. Yes?
Sure.
Okay. Samit, present ma'am.
So
Sonal,
we'll come to know whether they are awake or they're still sleeping, enjoying
sleeping,
the
yeah.
weekend. Yeah.
Enjoying the Saturday. Okay. So in Pune, so now they have announced lockdown from Monday. So probably may not be any school work also. I don't know. Depends. They'll get a little bit more time off. Okay.
I'll keep my
So
fingers crossed for that.
okay. So we'll keep ourselves pinned up to KitKat Lab. Okay. So we can see the presentation. I will begin fast because I don't want to waste more time. Today we're going to talk about respiration. Okay. Respiration is basically the process by which, let's talk about, when we talk about respiration, we'll talk that how we human beings respire. Okay. So we'll talk about how we are going to take in air and remove out air. That is basically respiration. Yes. Yes. Is there something more to it? Is there something more to respiration? Fast, come on, tell me.
Taking in air, adding the oxygen to the bloodstream, and then releasing on the.
Okay. Okay. How now we'll go to our first slide. That slide is there, and I want you to uh, tell me what have I put in here. What is it? What does the slide say?
Ma'am, this slide is comparing morning and night. So
Okay.
in photosynthesis is done, and at night photosynthesis is not done because you are
Hmm.
not getting the heat energy from the sun.
Correct. We did that last time. Correct. Okay. There's something else written also.
Yes, ma'am.
Respiration happens in tree and the plant higher than both morning and
Yes. Yes. So the plants are also respiring. Did you know that plants also respire?
yes, ma'am.
But we always say plants give us oxygen. So if you're respiring, in the process of respiration, we give out carbon dioxide. So how is that not taking place here?
Ma'am, respiration not takes place at night as the plants give out oxygen in the morning and take in oxygen and produce carbon dioxide at night.
Okay. What you said was partly correct and partly there is a little bit more to it. Okay. So
Ma'am,
partly
even in the
you're correct.
morning, even the respiration happens even in the morning,
Yes.
but here respiration is just exchange of gases. So in the case of when it's morning, while they're doing photosynthesis, they take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. But at night, the tables turn and they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide.
No, 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 no. See, there is one small line of difference between what you said. Okay. See, photosynthesis is a totally different process altogether. Photosynthesis, we studied last time, the plants are taking in oxygen. See, the plants are taking in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. From the roots, they're getting the water. It is going into the chloroplast. In the chloroplast, there is a pigment called as chlorophyll, which is attracting the sunlight, and it is producing uh, oxygen and glucose. Correct? That is what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis can only happen in the morning. It can't happen in the night. because in the night there is no sun. Now we come to respiration. For any living thing to be alive, any living thing, for that matter, even amoeba, for that matter, any unicellular organism, paramecium, fungus, anything, whenever they want to survive, for their survival, they have to respire. They have to undergo the process of respiration. Okay, so in the plants, respiration is taking place in the morning. Means in the morning they are also taking in little bit of carbon dioxide and they're producing. They're taking in little bit of oxygen and producing carbon dioxide. Okay, but the percentage, the percentage of respiration in the morning is slightly lesser. The respiration becomes slightly lesser. Now how do I explain lesser is, if supposing you have done a lot of strenuous work and you're jogging and you're doing, how will you breathe? What is the breathing process? You'll breathe very fast, no? You'll be like you'll go like that, correct? So that breathing, that is called as fast breathing. Okay, so you're respiring more at that time. Your body is requiring more energy at that time. So this entire respiration is called more. Okay, now I'm comparing that as more. Now in the night when you're sleeping, your body is very sound sleep and you just don't require any more energy, just so much so that you're breathing in air. That is what is called as less respiration. Okay, so this kind of respiration happens in the morning in the plants. So plants are, along with photosynthesis, they are also respiring, but the percentage of photosynthesis is more. So let's say that in the plants there is 70% photosynthesis happening, but 30% respiration is taking place. In the night, there is 0% of photosynthesis because there is no sun at all. In the night, there is only and only respiration taking place. Okay, that is why they say that in the night you should never go near the plants, because the plants are also giving out carbon dioxide just like you. And if you go near the plants at night, just you are taking in air again containing carbon dioxide. So it is not really helping you. So what will happen? You will get a headache. Okay, so that is a scientific reason behind what elders tell us, that don't go near to plants at night. Is this clear now? Is this concept clear? That plants are also respiring. They are respiring in the morning also, they are respiring in the night also. Yes? Everyone clear? Everyone clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll go to our first slide. Next slide. Okay. When I talk about respiration in animals, what happens? What is the first process that takes place in respiration? It is a very long process. Okay. What we as kids we knew, we just knew that respiration is when you're breathing in air containing oxygen, okay, and then you breathe out air containing carbon dioxide. That is what is respiration only, or is there something more to it? Is there something more to it? Anybody knows anything more to that respiration? Nobody knows anything more to that? Hello?
no, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, you all don't know anything more to that. Okay. So in the respiration process, we undergo 3 stages. The first part is when you're just taking in oxygen and you're removing out carbon dioxide. That type of respiration, we call it as the external respiration. That is basically what we call as breathing. As small kids, we have always learned respiration is the breathing process. That is, you're taking in air containing oxygen and you're giving out air containing carbon dioxide. Now, what happens to that air that goes into our lungs? So what is happening? The air goes into the nose, through the nose or through the mouth. It is going into your nasal tract. Your nasal tract, that is called as trachea. From the trachea, it is going into your both the lungs. Now, when it goes into both the lungs, what is happening there? What do you think is happening there? Any vague idea or any guesses you all want to do with that?
There are specific cells. They exchange the carbon dioxide and the oxygen, and the carbon dioxide goes back to the trachea, and then it lets the nose lets it out, and then the oxygen is transferred to the other parts of the body.
Correct. So that is what is given in the second picture. If you can see in the second picture, in the first picture we are showing the external breathing. Okay, the man is taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. Now that air that went into your nose, it went into your nasal tract, that is, it is went into your trachea. From the trachea, it went to both your lungs. In the lungs, there are special cells which we call as alveoli. In that alveoli, there is blood connection. So the blood comes all the way till the special cells called as alveoli. Okay. Now, when those cells connected to the bloodstream, connected to your blood capillaries, they they get filled with oxygen. What do? They what our body requires oxygen. So that oxygen is transferred to the blood. So they do a transfer method. They do a barter system out there. What do? The alveoli gives the fresh oxygen that you just breathe in, and it goes into the blood. And in return, the blood will give out the carbon dioxide which it has in it, and that is what is coming out in your external breathing. Is this portion clear? Is so much clear? External and internal. I'll say external and I will say internal. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone clear? I'm talking about, I'm not getting any answers from Harshini. Sonal is not giving any answers. Everyone? Can someone repeat? Yes?
Ma'am, can you explain internal again?
Okay. So what is happening is, I'll explain you external and internal together. Okay. So in the external, what happens? You are breathing in air. Okay. You breathe in air that is containing oxygen. Okay. Now where is it going to go next? Where it is going to go next? From the nose, it will go into your trachea. Trachea, that is your nasal tract. Okay. From the trachea, it goes into both your lungs. One lung on the left side, one lung on the right side. This much is clear?
Yes,
This much is
ma'am.
clear? Now, in the lungs, there are special cells which we call as alveoli. Alveoli, special cells are there. In that alveoli, there is a connection of the blood stream that is running through our body. There is a continuous blood stream that is there. Like you can say it's like a river of blood. It's continuously there in our entire body. That blood connection comes all the way till your alveoli. Now your alveoli has got all the fresh oxygen that you just took in the breath. Okay. Now that oxygen from your alveoli will go into the blood. Okay. And the blood, because it has come away from all the parts of your body, it contains the carbon dioxide from all the parts of the body that it has collected. So that it will give to the alveoli. So they are doing a barter system. The alveoli is giving the fresh oxygen to the blood, and the blood is giving the used up whatever carbon dioxide was produced back into your alveoli. Now this air will again go out when you breathe out. So from the alveoli, the lungs, the air will again go into your nasal tract, and from the nasal tract, it will go out your body. So this is external and internal respiration. External is taking in and throwing out. That's it. But after that external, what happens internally? In the lungs, there is a special cell, alveoli, in which blood stream is connected and they exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. So your body gets filled up with oxygen, and all the carbon dioxide from your body, which your body does not require, it has got no work, it is like a It is you call it as a what do you say? It's like a poison for your body. Okay, so it is like something that has to be thrown out of your body. It is an excreta of your body. The carbon dioxide your body does not require. That excreta is thrown out of your body through that process, same process like how it came in and it's going to go out. Clear now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Now,
Yep.
now let's see what is happening to the oxygen that came into the blood. Now that is very, very important. Okay. Now that oxygen that came into your blood, it is going to go to all the cells that is there in your body. How many cells are there in your body?
Millions and millions.
Yes, there are millions of cells in our body. All those millions of cells, every second they are working. Are they working or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me
Yes, ma'am.
examples. Give me examples.
Ma'am, they are working to digest our food,
Okay, very good. Digestion is happening. Then
breathing,
breathing. Okay. Heart beating.
muscle movement,
Movement. Yes. Thinking. Your brain cells are thinking.
um, uh,
Muscles are moving. Muscles are moving. Correct? So there is continuous work by all those million cells. They're continuously working. Now, why they are working? They want energy. Now, that energy they're going to get from two things. Two things. Out of that, what is one thing? For energy, what do we need?
Ma'am,
oxygen,
oxygen.
Oxygen. And the second one you need?
Ma'am, water.
Not water. What else?
ma'am, carbohydrates,
Sorry?
carbohydrates,
Okay. Instead of carbohydrates, can we just say food?
yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So two things your body requires to generate energy. One is food and one is oxygen. Oxygen we got into your body by the external and internal respiration. Yes. Now
yes,
what is
ma'am,
left is your food. Your food will come in which part of your body?
Digestive system.
Very good. So the food is going to go into your digestive system. That is, it is going into your mouth. From the mouth, it is going into the esophagus. From the esophagus, it will go into your stomach. From the stomach, it will go to small intestine, large intestine. Now, in the small intestine, the major work that happens is all the nutrients, that is the carbohydrates that you spoke about, the proteins, the fats, all those nutrients, all of those good nutrients are pulled out and they are put into the bloodstream. Okay? Why it is important for us to put oxygen into the bloodstream and these nutrients into the bloodstream? Why? Why
because
the blood? Sorry?
they're a form of energy for the red blood cells.
No. So what happens is when it goes into the blood, so the blood now contains two things. It is containing the oxygen also and it is containing these nutrients. Now they can easily move into your body. What did I tell you? Your body is very well connected with blood. There is blood in each and every part of your body, correct? Correct? Each and every
Yes,
part
ma'am,
of your body has blood.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So wherever there are cells in your body, the millions and millions of cells that we spoke about, all are very well connected with the bloodstream. So what the cell requires? Energy. Energy we are getting from two things, oxygen and food. Oxygen, we took it from external and internal respiration, and food, we took it from our small intestine, the digestive system. Now, all these things have come into your blood. The blood is now transporting, the blood is now taking these two essentials to your each and every cell. So now your each and every cell contains the let's say the two raw materials or the two things that it has to cook up to make the energy. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, very good. Chalo, nice. Now let's go to the cellular respiration. Now the cell contains a lot of many other subparts of it. Did you know that? Did you know that cell contains a lot of subparts into it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the cell contains something that is called as nucleus. The cell
Yes,
contains
ma'am. It's
something
mitochondria.
mitochondria. Yes, now we come to our main part, that is mitochondria. Like we said last time, the plant cell contains a building called as chloroplast. Okay, each and every cell, let it be a plant cell or let it be an animal cell, each and every cell, whether it is a unicellular organism or whether it is a multicellular organism, means whether it is amoeba, paramecium, it is a fungus, it is a big tree, it is a small tree, it is a small baby, or it is a big human being like us, or any animals. Each and every living thing contains, in the cell, it is going to contain one building that we call as mitochondria. That mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That mitochondria building is the one that is doing what function? That is taking the two raw materials. It is going to take the two raw materials. That is, it is going to
It's
take the food also, and it is going to take the oxygen also. So for any factory, let's say it is a factory, okay, mitochondria is a power factory. For any factory to work, you need to give it some raw material, right? Correct?
ma'am.
Yes. So the raw material that this factory requires is oxygen and the carbohydrates. Okay, these two things. Once it gets it, it is going to undergo some chemical processes, a long list of chemical processes. And in that process, it is going to produce energy in the form of a molecule, which when we want to break up, it will become into lot of energy. So that energy or that molecule that it is producing, we call it as ATP. ATP. Okay. ATP. Adenosine triphosphate. ATP. Correct. So now what is uh, what is the cellular respiration? Can anyone tell me? Have you all understood or no?
When the cell takes in the essential nutrients and inside the mitochondria, it creates a ATP molecule. And when it's broken, then it releases energy that the body uses.
Good. Samit understood it. Now others.
Ma'am, when the oxygen and when oxygen is taken in, then into the internal process, it is gone to every and each and every cell in our bodies, and then when it goes into the cells, each and every cell has specific parts, and one of them is mitochondria. And when it goes into the mitochondria, it is processed and gone through many chemical processes, and when it goes through them, it creates energy called ATP. ATP.
Very good. Understood this process?
Yes,
Understood
ma'am.
everyone? Everyone? I'm getting only two or three people answering.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Where is Harsh? Harshini is not answering. Harshini is there or no?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay. So I want to hear you all. Okay. And I want to see you also. Okay. So now, respiration is this process. Okay. So we have got external, internal, and cellular respiration. This entire process. This is how it is happening in the in the animals. Okay. Now let's see what will happen in the plants. Let's see what is going to happen in the plants. Okay. So we'll go to the next slide. In the plants, like we said, plants are breathing in the morning also and in the night also. Morning, the breathing process is less. In night, the breathing process is 100%. Okay. Now for that process, breathing in they are doing. Okay. Now for them to breathe, they need to take in oxygen into themselves. They need to take oxygen, na? So where are they going to get the oxygen from? They're going to get the oxygen from some kind of doors. The one door that we spoke about last time and you all give me the answer was in the leaf there is something that we call as stomata. Okay, so in the leaf there is a door that is called as stomata. Okay, besides that, the roots are also breathing. The roots also has got pores into them. There are small pores into them which can open and close. Those pores take up oxygen which is present in the soil. Do you know soil contains oxygen? Did you know soil contains oxygen also?
No, ma'am.
No,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, soil contains oxygen. Okay, so the roots help to, from the pores, it is going to take up the oxygen. Besides that, on the stems also, sometimes there are small pores whose name we call as lenticels. See in the first picture, you can see those small white color pores. In this stem, it is easily visible. Okay, so in this stem, you can see the small white pores. They are called as lenticels. So the stem, the roots, leaf, all the three parts of the plant are helping in the exchange of gases, required for respiration. That is taking in of oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. Okay, so these three pores are important. Yes.
Ma'am, how does the soil contain oxygen?
The soil contains oxygen in the dissolved form itself. Oxygen gets dissolved into water and there is oxygen in the soil. For that,
Ma'am, but I thought that the soil traps air and the roots take those pockets of air. That's why you need to till it so that till the soil
yeah,
again and again.
yes,
With
you told
air.
the answer. You yourself told me the answer. They contain air, and air contains
Uh,
you
Oxygen.
yeah, you yourself told me the answer. You just don't know how to connect it. See,
Uh,
the connection is that way. The soil contains lot of air, and in that air, what is there? Oxygen.
hmm.
Okay, got it?
Okay. Yeah.
So this is how plants are respiring. This is how plants do their work of respiration. Okay. So now we'll go to our next slide, a little bit more detail about respiration. Okay. Now respiration are of two types. How two types and why two types? Can you see the first formula and can you see the second formula? I want you all to see both the formulas written up and down, and I want you all to tell me what is the difference between up and down.
Ma'am, in the bottom one, there's lactic acids.
And it has less steps than the first one.
Okay, what
Ma'am,
else?
the top one has oxygen and the down one doesn't.
Yes, hit on. That is the first basis of the types. Okay. So if in respiration you are using oxygen like we did in the mitochondria. In the mitochondria, if oxygen was taken, then that type of respiration is called as aerobic. Aerobic. From air, aerobic. From oxygen, we call it as aerobic respiration. If by some method, by some reason, oxygen is not available, oxygen is just not available, then they also need to respire. Those things will also respire without the oxygen also. So those organisms are called as anaerobic. Anaerobic. From aerobic, you put an and before it, it becomes anaerobic. Okay. So one thing you understand, if there is oxygen, it will be aerobic. If there is no oxygen, it will be anaerobic. Clear? The two names are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now
Yes,
in
ma'am.
the yes. Now in the aerobic, if you see the product form is carbon dioxide, CO2. What is the first step? Say, from glucose, that is C6H12O6, it takes up oxygen. These two are your reactants, these two are your raw materials, and when it is reacting, it is forming 6CO2. It is forming CO2. And along with that, it is forming 38 ATPs. So many ATPs from just one small molecule of glucose. Okay. Now, if in the second process, that is anaerobic, there is no oxygen, then the produced form, that is the product form, will be lactic acid. It will be lactic acid, and the ATPs generated will be only two. Only two ATPs will be formed. Okay, so you have got this major difference, aerobic and anaerobic. Now the first question comes, ma'am, why anaerobic? How can you call it respiration then? If there is no oxygen, why do you call it respiration? No, it is called as respiration. A lot of organisms, they live in lot of places in the deep sea, in deep soil, in our digestive tracts, lot of places where they don't get enough of oxygen. So then they adapt themselves such that they can respire, they can live without the oxygen. So then they are respiring only on the basis of the food that they get, not on the oxygen, because they're not getting enough of oxygen, they're getting enough of food. They are living only on the food. So such organisms undergo the process of anaerobic respiration. Okay, so for example, like we told you all, to grow the bread, okay, the bread that grows, and we told you to put it in a zip. For many of you all, it has not grown, probably because of the environment, probably requires some more time. If you keep it for another 1 week, it will still happen. Wait and watch. Okay, so when you're closing it in a Ziploc bag, when you're putting it in a closed container, you are not giving it oxygen. There is no oxygen there. So it is going to grow. That fungus is going to grow on its own. When the dead animals and dead plants, they die and they get deep buried into the soil. They go deep into the soil and they get buried into the soil. So now what happens? Now there are a lot of small organisms that we call as saprophytic organisms, or we call them as a dead decaying matter eating organisms. They are going to decay all these small unicellular or sometimes multicellular organisms. They are going to break down all the parts of the body of these organisms, of the dead and decaying matter. So what happens is that they don't get oxygen. So in the absence of oxygen, how do they respire? They will respire by anaerobic method. So in that, what happens is they are producing lactic acid and they are producing less amount of ATP. That amount of ATP is enough for them to survive. So it is going on very well. We require a lot of ATPs because our energy requirement is really, really high. So we respire aerobically in the presence of oxygen. These two are clear? Aerobic and anaerobic clear?
Yes,
Yes, okay. So we'll go to our next slide. In the next slide, slight detail is given about what happens. So whatever glucose you took, it is going to go through a process of glycolysis. In that glycolysis, pyruvate is formed. This is what is happening in your anaerobic. This is what is happening in your anaerobic, just from glucose to pyruvate. It will not proceed further on. Okay. When there is a presence of oxygen, then it is going to go to the process in which it is going to go into a multiple chemical process, and there it is producing 38 ATPs. So this is how your 38 ATPs are formed. We'll go to the next slide. You'll understand it much better. So glucose to pyruvic acid, what are you producing? 2 ATPs. Glucose to pyruvic acid, you produce 2 ATPs. Now let's go from the pink part, go to the blue part. In the blue part, what do you get? You get oxygen. So because of oxygen, it goes through a cycle that is called as Krebs cycle, and there it produces more 36 ATPs. So that is why 2 above and below 36, it becomes 38 ATPs together. Whereas if you go into the green part, from the pink part, you go into the green part, that is here, it is not getting any oxygen. If it is not getting any oxygen, then it just remains as it is, and there is going to be no further ATPs formed. And the two ATPs that it had formed further, upper in the pink color, that is the only ATPs that it is going to have now. So that is why in the anaerobic respiration, you have got only 2 ATPs. But in the aerobic respiration, where you have oxygen, you get 2 plus 36 and it becomes 38 ATPs together. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a little bit one step further. This is one level higher for y'all. But if you have heard these names before, if you have uh, uh, read about it or listened about these things before, so when the next time you read it, it will come into your mind really very quick. So whenever you want, you can refer back to this presentation, or you can go on your own. You can go on Google and search about how aerobic respiration takes place in each cell, how anaerobic takes place in each cell. So it is much easier. Okay. So we'll go to our next slide. This is the same thing. So let's skip this. We'll go to our next slide. Okay. Now, let's understand our main experiment for today. Two experiments. From two experiments, the first experiment is to see how the stomata is present in our body. How stomata is present, sorry, in our body, no, in plant's body, sorry. That is the pore from which the plants are taking in oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. Okay. So for that, there is one small video. Ma'am will be starting one small video. You can see to that video. Okay. Swapna?
Yeah, 1 second, I'm starting it.
Yes.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes. Yes, Sonal.
should we pin ourselves to Kit Lab?
Yeah. You will pin yourself to Kitukit lab only. You keep yourself pinned there only. Ma'am is only going to rotate everywhere. Either to my screen, either to the experiment by Nicola ma'am, and now to this also presentation also. Okay. Until the presentation is until the video is starting, any doubts with the respiration process, aerobic and anaerobic, any doubts you all have got?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Understood it well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Ma'am,
Yes.
last class you told us to find out what mineral there was in hemoglobin.
Yes. Yeah. Please tell me. Did you find out?
Ma'am,
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
What is it?
Iron.
Yes, iron.
Iron.
And what is the formula of iron? Chemical formula? How do you write it?
uh, Fe.
Yes, Fe.
Yeah.
Fe, correct. Yes.
I'm starting the video. Just let me know if the voice is not audible to all of you, okay?
Okay.
A plant leaf is covered with a waxy
Audible.
cuticle to prevent water loss. There are openings in the leaf, called stomata, that allow carbon dioxide to enter for photosynthesis. However, these openings also allow water to evaporate from leaf tissues. The stomata can be closed to reduce water loss. Stomata are flanked by two guard cells. When a plant is well hydrated, the guard cells are swollen with water and bow outward, opening the stomata. Carbon dioxide passes into the leaf, and some of it is used up during the carbon fixation part of photosynthesis. Water and oxygen, that is a byproduct of photosynthesis, leave the leaf. When a plant is not well hydrated, water leaves the guard cells and they collapse, closing the stomata. With the stomata in the leaf closed, the concentration of carbon dioxide in the leaf goes down, and the concentration of oxygen goes up as photosynthesis proceeds. The increased concentration of oxygen eventually shuts down photosynthesis because of a phenomenon called photorespiration.
Okay, understood? So stomata has got, the structure of stomata is such that it is made up of two kidney bean structures. Okay, the names of those two kidney bean structures is what we call as guard cells.
Guard cell.
Yes, when those guard cells, they contain water, when they get absorbed with water, from the closed position, they become into opening position. The minute they open, exchange of gas takes place. Okay, and when they leave water from the guard cells, means when they, whatever water they had digested, now they're going to remove out all that water. So what will happen? The guard cells will again close up. So you call it that the guard cells either get swollen, or you call them as flaccid, means they again become flat again. So this is how the stomata opens and closes. This is the mechanism of the stomata opening and closing. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So now you all are going to see the way how we are going to remove the stomata, how we are going to observe it in the microscope. The entire experimental procedure is going to be shown by Nicola ma'am. She'll be also showing you the fungus that grew on her bread and how it is looking. Okay, so the fungus that grew on the bread and how it looks and how to see it under the microscope. Okay, so we'll be seeing that for some time now. I'll hand it over to Nicola ma'am.
Okay, today we'll observe how to see stomata under the microscope. Okay, for that, you need some things. I'll show you. This is forceps. Okay, this is a needle. This is a slide. Okay, can you see?
Nicola,
Yeah.
can you keep your the other volume off?
Okay.
The voice is echoing. Yeah.
It is off. It's on mute.
No, the output, the speakers off.
Now, it's because the phone is. Is it okay now? I don't know.
You can disconnect from your phone, like otherwise. There is a button on top of the phone screen by which you can put the audio off of the phone.
I'll disconnect for the timing.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
One second. Now?
Yeah, you can start.
Children, are you all able to hear my voice properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we need forceps. This is a forceps. Okay. We need a needle, a slide. Okay, this is a glass slide. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is a cover slip. Okay. This is also glass, very thin glass. It's called a cover slip. You need a dropper. Okay. And I have taken 2 watch glasses. And the chemicals required are, you need safranin and you need glycerine. Okay, glycerine must be available at your homes. You must have seen glycerine. Okay, it is somewhat sticky, white and sticky. Okay, then you need a fresh plant material, that is a leaf. You need a leaf. Okay, and the main thing is the microscope. This is a microscope. All right, first we'll learn how to take out the leaf peel. So you will bend the leaf in this way. Are you able to see?
Yes.
Everyone? Little bit higher. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am. It's kind of
Okay. So you have to press it in this way and you have to remove the under surface of the leaf. Means you will take the surface of the leaf, that is from the underside you will remove. There will be a thin section. I think it might not be visible. See, this is a thin section of the under surface of the leaf. It is called a leaf peel. Okay, you remove this out with the help of the forceps. You take a thin section, and what you do, you take the leaf peel and you put it in water. Why you need to put it in water? So that this leaf peel does not get dehydrated. Okay, it needs water so that it does not get dehydrated, it does not get dry. So it needs water for that. You'll put it in water for some time. Then what you will do, you will take the slide, you will take this leaf peel, okay, and you'll put it on the slide. Place it properly so that it is not folded. Okay, where is my leaf peel? Okay, place it properly so that the leaf peel is not folded. Otherwise, you cannot see the structure properly under the microscope. You cannot see the stomata properly under the microscope. Okay, so ensure that it is not folded. Then what you all will do? You all will add safranin. Now, what safranin is a dye, you all can say. Okay, it can stain the cells so that you all can clearly see what is under the microscope, because it is transparent, so you all will not be able to see. Therefore, we use a little bit of safranin, which is a red colored stain. Okay, we'll put it on the slide. In case you add excess of safranin, what you must do, you must take the leaf peel again and put it in water and put it back again so that it washes off the excess stain. Okay, so we have not taken too much. It's okay. Now what we do, now you can add a little bit of glycerine to it. The role of the safranin is to stain the cells so that we clearly see the stomata. Okay, now we add a little bit of glycerine to it. Little bit of glycerine we add to it. We put it on top. Good to go now. Now, what we must do, we will put the cover slip. Now, there you cannot just throw the cover slip on it. Why? Lot of air bubbles will come, and that will not because of the air bubbles, you cannot see the stomata properly. So there is a way of putting the cover slip. So you will hold. You all can see, all of you. Can you see what am I doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what you will do, I'm just removing these so that it does not hinder your sight. Okay. So you have to hold this in this way. You have to hold this. Don't just put it like that. Lot of air bubbles will come inside. So you have to hold it at a degree of maybe 45 degrees. Okay. You will hold it at 45 degrees. Approximately 45 degrees. You put the forceps at one end and slowly you will leave it. Okay, so that there are no air bubbles. Then what you will do, can you all see? Now you will observe this under the microscope. You will put it on the stage of the microscope and you will observe it. Okay, so I have already set the microscope before. So I'll show you how it looks under the microscope. One minute, please. I'll show it through my phone, okay? Because you all cannot see it in this way through the laptop. Just give me a few seconds. Lot of sound, right? Wait,
Nicola, I think
Hello?
your camera was not on of the phone.
No, it is on. Lot of echoing sound. Are you could you all see anything? Because I am unable to see what I'm showing you all actually.
No, actually we can't see. Nicola, we'll do one thing. You can leave it. We'll post the pictures on the group of the
Okay, fine.
microscope. Yeah. So we'll post that on the
Okay.
group. Okay.
All right.
So
Fine.
so I will just go through the slide where the entire observation is given. So this is how it is. You can see the leaf. Ma'am showed you very well how to take the peel, how to stain it. And this is exactly on the right side how you can see it will look in the microscope. You know, it looks very well. You can see the cell, you can see the stomata cells, the stomata cell containing two guard cells. And here you can see it open also. So you can see how the stomata is open. If you take it at a time when the stomata is open, sometimes you can also see the stomata is closed also. Okay. And now we have a next experiment. See, this is exactly how it looks. This is a very highly magnified image of the stomata under a microscope. The above one also you can see there the stomatas are closed. And in the below one, you can see how the stomata will open and close. This is seen under an electron microscope. So electron microscopes are present in very hi-fi labs, very hi-fi where they carry out a lot of research work. There you can see this, and it is shown how the opening and the closing of the stomata is observed. Okay, and in a normal microscope like ours, you can see exactly what is there above. So we'll be sending you the pictures of that. Okay. Now this is what we studied about respiration and how stomata is helping in the respiration of plants. And the next experiment which ma'am will be showing to y'all would be the fungi. So the fungi, I told you they are saprophytes. I told you what are saprophytes. They live on dead and decaying matter, and the way they are using the nutrition, they are using the food we call as saprophytic nutrition. They don't require oxygen. They are respiring anaerobically without the oxygen. So a lot of examples of fungi could be the yeast. So if you remember, whenever you are baking food or you're adding yeast to your baking things, what do they always say? Cover it up. Why do we cover it up? Because we don't want oxygen to go there. Once oxygen doesn't go there, it starts respiring, it starts dividing, it's doing its work. Okay, so yeast, even mushroom. Mushrooms are also saprophytes. They also live on dead decaying matter, and they respire anaerobically. So they also don't require oxygen for respiration. So the fungi category in the plants, some of them are saprophytes. Saprophytes means they depend on a dead decaying matter for their food, and they respire anaerobically without the oxygen. Okay, so the next slide. So now we're going to the experiment time. Back to Nicola ma'am. Nicola ma'am will be showing you how to take she'll show you how her fungi has grown, and then she'll be showing you how to put it again on the cover slip and slide. And we'll be sharing with you both the pictures of the fungi and as well as the stomata that Nicola ma'am is seeing it in her microscope. Okay, so we'll hand it over to Nicola ma'am.
Okay, so you must have grown fungi on your spread. Some of you were not able to grow it, but then when fungus grows, it will look somewhat like this. Okay, so what you all will do, you all will take 1 second. Okay, you all will take some portion of the fungi with the help of the forceps. You all will put it on the slide. Okay, and you all, with the help of a cover slip, you all will cover it. Okay, then you all can observe it under the microscope. We'll show you all how it looks. We'll take pictures and we'll show you all how it looks. Okay, otherwise you all can do one thing. You all can also observe it through a magnifying glass. Okay, I have got a magnifying glass. You all can observe the fungi through the magnifying glass and you all can see how it looks. All right. Have you all understood both the experiments?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is a very simple one. You just have to take fungus and you'll have to put it. It's a bread mold, okay? You'll have to take it and put it on the slide, put a cover slip and observe it with a magnifying glass. You can see it with a magnifying glass. You can also see it under the microscope. All right? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. So kids, you all enjoyed seeing how you're preparing a slide, how you're seeing, and this is exactly how the spores look, okay? So on the upper side, you will see it like how ma'am's bread got black color into it. But when you see it with a very good magnifying glass, or when we convert it into, you put it into a microscope. So microscope will become much more magnified and much better observation. You'll be able to see the entire structure of the bread mold. This is the name of this fungi is called as bread mold. Mold is what we call it as a fungi. So this fungi, they have got an entire plant-like system. They don't have exactly plant, but they have a plant-like system. They have got a head, they have got a stem, and they have got roots. The roots are what are into your bread. Okay, and whatever head is there, that head contains a lot of spores, a lot of small materials, small cells, which whenever they burst open, they will multiply. So their way of multiplying would be through the spores. And this is exactly how you can see on the right side picture, you can see the spores and the blue color stems. Those are all seen under an electron microscope. A very high power microscope is what you can see this kind of a structure. Next picture. Okay, so that's it. So we finished the explanation and the experiment for today. So our first experiment was based on respiration and on the part through which the plant is respiring, that is stomata. The second one was based on how the plants can respire anaerobically. So for that, we took the example of growing a bread mold, a fungi bread mold, which is going to respire anaerobically without the oxygen. Okay. Any questions related to today's session you all have got?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
All understood it 100% well, very well you all understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one homework for you all. Okay, y'all are going to, there is there is sometimes when our body has to respire anaerobically. Where, when, why, how? You're going to find out that our body, we human beings, are respiring aerobically full time. Okay, full time we respire aerobically. That is why we are taking in oxygen. But there is a specific time when we are respiring anaerobically. You all are going to find out and tell me the time and
Farida, you're on mute.
okay, sorry, I went off, my phone fell off. Okay, so y'all are going to tell me when and why human body needs to respire anaerobically. Okay, y'all got y'all got the homework, y'all got the question for today. Understood that? Okay,
Yes.
now I want, now have you all gone further to our portal, Kitukate Lab portal? Did you go last time and solve the questionnaire there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So I want you all to do it this time also. And with that, there will be some other activity for you all to do. So I want you all to,
Ma'am, how do we go there?
so for going there, Swapna ma'am will explain to you the entire process once more right now. Okay. You all are going to go there and you all are going to see the questionnaire. You all are going to solve the questions. And after solving the questions, you all are also going to do a further research activity is uploaded there. That further research activity, you all are going to do it and let me know next time. Yes? So 2 homeworks for you all.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, ma'am, can you
Okay. Yeah, I will explain you the process of logging into the portal and how to access the quiz and the further research activity. Okay, so just keep observing the screen. So open e-laboratory.kituk.com. Okay, take your user ID and password, login with that. Okay. Once you log in, you will see grade 7. That is your course, right? Grade 7. So in grade 7, we are doing the first topic, that is nutrition in plants. Okay. So last week also it was the same topic. We did 2 different concepts of that topic. And today we did the 3rd and the 4th concept in the same topic. Okay. So if you see here, you will see there are 5 steps. Okay. The first step, the first presentation that we used last week is uploaded here. Okay, and the second presentation, the like introduction theory experiment, this is today's presentation. So step 1 will always be the presentations that we use during the class. Okay, step 2 is your experiment sheet that I send it to you to take a print. So the same experiment sheets are given here in step 2. Step 3 is the quiz. Okay. Step 4, the first file is a further research activity file. So I'll just open it for y'all. Okay. So this is the activity. There is a description given. What you are supposed to do, that is also given here. Okay, not everybody would be able to do it because of the absence of microscope, but you can keep this activity as a task, and whenever we meet in the lab, or those who, like, you know, if in your school lab or anyway wherever you can access your microscope, you can do this activity.
or
Okay.
if sometimes you can't do sorry, if sometimes you cannot do the activity, you all can just go on Google and do a little bit research. So if there is a question asked, you can go on Google and research on the question based on this. Okay, so you are not left out from the activity.
Yes.
Ma'am, ma'am, instead of taking a microscope, can we even see it in magnifying glass?
No, stomata won't be visible in magnifying glass.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So
the fungus will be seen, not the stomata will require a microscope only.
Okay. Now here, after the further research activity, we have given some reference videos which will explain all the concepts that we have covered with you, like last session and this session. So whenever you have time, you can go through these reference videos. Now, step 5, we will be uploading the recording of the class. So this is the recording of last week. And after this, I will be recording, I'll be uploading the today's recording also. So for every topic that we do, there are 5 steps involved. And you can access any of these steps as and when you want to do so. But make it a practice that after the class gets over, the first thing you do is appear for the quiz, so that your knowledge is fresh, you are able to solve the quiz easily. And then while doing the further research activity, whatever difficulties you have, or even in the quiz, if you find any difficulties, you can write to us on the WhatsApp group and we will be able to help you out with it. Is the process clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right,
Okay,
so yeah.
yeah, so we